Good morning, everybody. It's Jillian Epperly with JillyJuice.com. Um, it's actually almost the anniversary of me meeting my husband for the first time after communicating with him virtually, either phone or computer, back in 2010. And so, yes, I actually met him for the first time in October of 2010 after meeting him online in like March of 2010. So, yeah, October is very like I don't know. It's nostalgia for me. So anyways, so yeah, just looking at memories on Facebook, love it. But yeah, I get different people recommending Jilly Juice. You've probably Googled me. I'm sure you've seen the Dr. Phil show. Um, I'm going to say this. If you are going into Jilly Juice to try to solve like a particular problem, let's say like a digestive issue, okay? I'm going to say this. Jilly Juice is going to make you deal with not only your digestive issue, but everything else that's wrong with you. Okay? The thing with Jilly Juice is eventually, yes, you're going to reverse all your issues at some point. It's not going to be right away. So if you're looking to get rid of a problem, a specific problem, going into Jilly Juice is going to make you face that problem tenfold relative to how deep your issue is, and then force you to deal with every single thing else that you have that you either know about or don't know about. Because you have anomalies, you have issues in your genetic line, and I can't tell you what they are, only you know, and then some things you don't even know because it hasn't come up yet. Some people have predispositions that are not set to come up until, maybe 10, 15 years down in the future because your system has kept it at bay. And then Jilly Juice is going to then force you to see those predispositions earlier than you expected, earlier than you anticipated, if you even anticipated it at all. You may know about breast cancer in your family, and you may have breast tenderness on the Jilly Juice because, yes, those anomalies are going to come to surface and you're going to have to deal with them, whatever they are. I have no idea what they are. People have different genetics and antibodies that are laying dormant. They're not coming to surface yet until you force them to come to surface and meet them and get rid of them. How do you get rid of them? Well, when you're doing the waterfalls. See, here's the thing. You have to go to my website. Hold on. You have to go to my website. Read the website. I do ask a few questions, just rhetorical questions to kind of jog your head to see where I'm going with this. Okay? My website will ask questions like, what are DNA monoclonal antibodies? Why are we using them as a healing process in the allopathic holistic world? And then why do you think we're not living indefinitely? Why do you think we have a lifespan? Maybe those DNA monoclonal antibodies that we're injecting and taking in therapeutics, or in vaccinations are probably shortening your lifespan or causing the diversity in the population. And so then when you read about Dr. Phil or you listen to Dr. Phil and I talk about waterfalls and they're like, oh, it's all diarrhea, it's going to dehydrate you. And no, Jilly Juice says anything but dehydrate you. Okay, all it is cabbage, water, and salt. Okay, and it's white salt. It's like 1 tablespoon for every 2 cups of water, 1 cup of cabbage, and then 2 cups of water. You puree it, and you fill up as many jars as you can, or as big as jars as you can. You ferment it. It's basically fermented cabbage juice. People are like, how does fermented cabbage juice have that kind of punch and have that kind of power to where you can make claims on Dr. Phil that you can live 300, 400, 500 years old and regrow arms, limbs, and whatever? Because you're going to have to face your pain. The salts and the nutrients are going to force the body to regenerate cells that you have stopped the evolution, which is basically cell regeneration. It's going to lengthen your telomeres. And you're going to have to face the pain when whatever areas that are at a deficit, you're to feel a pain. You may, if the pain is too much relative to your situation, yeah, you're probably going to turn to a few drugs here and there because sometimes some people, they can't take as much pain. But you realize that every single drug that you take to deal with your pain is what has caused you to be where you are to begin with. So now you have to balance out your antibiotics and your anti-inflammatories and your painkillers and all your prescription drugs with the J juice, and eventually your intention is to get off the different drugs. But if you just have a digestive issue, I'm telling you, Jilly Juice is going to make you face your digestive issues. It's going to make you face everything that is wrong with your digestive system, because that is the Silk Road. That is the alimentary canal. That is the main hub that gets to all the different points of your system and carries and delivers messages. And sometimes those little paths and messages are being blocked because of your predisposition. So some parts of your body are not getting the proper messages, and they're getting misinformed messages. And then that's why you see different anomalies: cancer, disease, chronic illness, autoimmunity, digestive issues, imbalances and fluctuations in your biochemistry, more hormones being produced or less hormones being produced, and then you're either too tired all the time, or you're completely like whacked out because of emotional imbalances, anxiety, depression, okay, or you're like bipolar because your serotonin levels, all the different levels of mood, type of enhancing or mood suppression, whatever, is just not balanced correctly. Okay, so I mean, I'll tell you this right now, being 4 years on J juice and dealing with skin issues, yeast infections, urinary tract issues on the J juice, yes, because everything came to surface. I had to deal with everything: constipation, hemorrhoids. What else did I deal with? Dry skin. What else did I deal with? I dealt with, being really angry, being really depressed for like a minute, bloatedness. I mean, even the itchiness, and like lately, it's like I'm seeing an evolution where I don't have my period yet. Not because I'm like menopausal in the sense that I'm dying. It's because now my body has now graduated to another level of existence to where I'm the best copy. Okay, I'm not an original because I'm a reproduction from somebody. I came from somewhere. It's not like I just came here on this earth from heaven and here I am. No, I am somebody's child. I'm adopted from Vietnam. I don't know who my parents are. I was adopted, but still, I am a copy. But you can be the best copy, and the body won't eventually need to drop eggs, and you go through all the different premenstrual, syndrome type stuff. Some people's PMS, like mine, PMDD, was worse than others. So, and I made that connection when I was on the J juice that, PMS and all these symptoms prior to getting your period is like being sick. Like, when someone's pregnant, they have all these different issues, gestational diabetes and weakness and hair falling out and all these different high risk type stuff going on when they're pregnant. And some have really great pregnancies, but they still feel and look like they've been depleted. Well, yes, you're giving a lot of your minerals and your minerals, yes, and your issues too, and your nutrients in your body to a baby that's now going to take all those nutrients, not all of them, but some of them, and use it for themselves. And if you are relatively healthy, you will have a relatively easy pregnancy. But it's usually the first pregnancy, if you don't have as many predispositions, that are easier than the second pregnancy. The second pregnancy really just takes a lot out of women. And of course, if you're doing like 15, 16 kids, that poor mother, holy crap. But some mothers, like, that show, what is it, 19 and counting, she had like 19 kids, holy crap. Or 18 or 16 kids or something. But that's insane. But anyways, I digress. But anyway, so Jilly Juice is going to make you face your evolution, that which you have been suppressing with the holistic remedies, your turmeric, your honey, your apple cider vinegar, your elderberry syrup, your diatomaceous earth, all of your little essential oils, your prescription drugs, all of your different protocols, whether it's like, playing with crystals or whatever, Rife machines, anything holistic, allopathic. You can take all these different tests. You're like, oh, I'm deficient in this, I'm deficient in that, so I'm going to take a supplement, I'm going to take a shake, I'm going to take this, I'm going to take that. You have been suppressing your evolution with everything that you have bought on the market, every single protocol that you've looked on Facebook in your healing groups and your mommy and me groups and your crunchy mama groups. Those have suppressed your evolution. And so now you have either a digestive issue, or someday down the road you're going to have an aggressive cancer because your body is going to try to evolve. Okay? You wonder why metformin is being put out there as a cancer causing type of diabetic drug, because yes, it is causing antibodies in your body that are attacking you at the micro level, attacking you more than what your body can actually regenerate and keep at bay. And so that's what cancer is, the body trying to evolve and you're not giving it what it needs. See, you wouldn't be diagnosed with cancer if it wasn't for an imbalance in your immune system, which is a more production of antibodies than the prostaglandins that are able to regenerate and release. Because you're supposed to, in your lymphatic system, release the excess antibodies. You're not supposed to be taking on antibodies and, excuse me, sorry, and accumulating them and using them as for what? A healing according to the doctors. Why is it healing to the doctors and the holistic professionals? Because it basically shuts down that cell. It destroys that cell out of existence. When somebody dies, guess what? They don't feel pain anymore. When someone is so healthy, 100% healthy for the most part, and they're not trying to upgrade to a new virus in the environment, they don't feel pain anymore. So on two ends of the spectrum, you cannot feel pain. You could be 100% healthy, where you can adapt easily to new viruses in the environment and maybe suffer a little bit of uncomfortableness when you're evolving because of that new entity. But when you're dead, you feel no pain. So that's how the holistic allopathic are able to say that, oh yeah, we can help you with all of your issues and your pain. We'll just kill off the cell that's sending those signals of pain. And so then they are systematically immunizing you. And that's why they say, oh, well, you cannot immunize. Really, there's no herd immunity with the COVID, because it keeps coming. Your immunity wears off. You know why? Because your body's trying to live. That's why they say, oh, we've got to have multiple shots of the vaccinations, because the body is not wanting to die. And so you're going to feel pain and you're going to feel symptoms. You're going to feel whatever. And so they're trying to find the most ultimate antibody to where when you do feel a, or actually, I don't even know how that's going to work. How would you know a vaccine is working, an ultimate antibody is working, if it doesn't cause such a destruction to you that your body is now forced to try to recalibrate? Okay? I don't know. I'm kind of scared of biotech trying to create the most ultimate antibody. Okay? But that's the whole point of why you hear about them trying to give you multiple vaccinations. Hey, Tiffany. Because immunity is the body trying to live from that attack of the antibodies. And so when immunity wears off, it means the body is again trying to come back to life. Okay? It's not like you're fully dead, obviously, but if you're fully dead, then there's no way your body can even try to recalibrate, even little by little. But when you're alive and portions of your body are dead, no different than parts of the Gulf Coast, with different swamps that are completely just like inert, no life because of all the oil spills. That's like your body. You have different portions of your body that are dead. Okay? You have different portions of your body that are dead. But when you do feel pain, it's because they're coming back to life. Now you have to support your body correctly so you can sustain the life. And then eventually you don't feel pain anymore. Okay? And some people don't know the difference between actually when they healed or when they actually killed something off, because they're still alive. So they think because they don't feel pain, they're all healed, when in actuality, they're probably just dead in that part, and that's why they don't feel anything. See, that's the deception, and that's the smoke and mirrors around the holistic allopathic world. Just because you're alive doesn't mean that your body is fully alive. It just means that your heart still beats, you still have some kind of coherent thought, you still have a brain, and you still have a liver and kidneys and lungs. But hey, you're kind of walking funny, you're thinking funny, and you're having weird pains every so often. You wake up with cramps in your legs, or you have major muscle spasms in the middle of the night and all that. Yeah, those are indicators. Or you have digestive issues. Those are indicators that you really haven't healed the way that the holistic allopathic world has told you that you've healed. No, they are destroying you bit by bit. But you say you don't want to feel pain. You say you don't want to feel any kind of evolution. So they're going to find something to actually kill off that portion of your body. Oh, I have a heart attack. Well, they're going to say, well, lessen the salt. So that way, when your body tries to heal your heart, you won't feel another attack. What's the attack? Now, there's a difference. A heart attack and there's cardiac arrest. Cardiac arrest is when you don't survive a heart attack. You actually die. It's like there is no, oh, hey, you got a warning. Here, let's do a triple bypass. Let's put a stent in. Let's do this. No, a cardiac arrest is where you get your heart just stops. And it happens in your sleep. Or it happens anywhere where your body says, okay, I'm done. You have not given me what I needed, so I'm done. A heart attack is where the body is now trying to repair deficiencies in the heart. You may have you may have enough of what it takes to carry you through that first heart attack. But the next heart attacks you get, you may not be so lucky. You may be able to buy yourself a few years, 10 years, 15 years, who knows, with a stent or with a triple bypass, quadruple bypass, sextuple bypass, whatever, how many bypasses. You may buy yourself a few years. That's what they're banking on, is that you're healthy enough to where you can survive their procedures, and then their perception that, because you lived through those procedures, that was the necessary thing to do, and so you don't mind paying the thousands of dollars and paying your insurance company to put you through that kind of drama. But then, the reason why people don't survive their heart attacks and it becomes a cardiac arrest is because their body has been depleted of all the necessary minerals and nutrients, because the body kept using them to fix your body, mind, and spirit because of all the deficiencies, and you have not healed and sealed your gut to be able to replenish your body's reserves. Because I'll tell you, you have reserves in your hair, skin, nails, bones, and that's why you see the aging process. That's why you see men graying. I see these men on Facebook who claim to be all like, healthy and spiritual, which, whatever spiritual, but they claim to be all healthy, but they're skinny. Oh, but they work out. They're good looking. Oh, they have great chiseled features and nice little muscles. But you see the mineral depletion in their face, in their hair, in their beard. Oh, but, men, the silver fox, Oh, come to me, I have the answer to good health, as the silver fox is being depleted of his minerals because he has leaky gut. And so guess what? The body is stealing resources, like stealing from Peter to pay Paul, to keep his vital organs going so he can still keep bringing in his followers. Say, hey, yeah, do all your meditation and play with your chakras, and here, take a few supplements and change your diet and fast, and here, take some ayahuasca so you can meet your Lord, or what. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. And then yesterday I was writing about the 1960s and the 1970s drug-addled, generation, and they're doing all these different experiments, and then that's where the ADA and the civil rights movement and what else? Oh yeah, and so and the different the LGBT rights and all that stuff came out back then. And I'm just writing about just, back then when they were doing the experiments, and all these people that are like drug, like LSD and marijuana and heroin and meth or whatever, and they were doing these psychedelics, mushrooms, and then now they become these cult leaders, to where they have these retreats where everybody goes to mountains and they all look at the sky, and they're taking their drugs, and they're like, okay, this is the healing. So if you have trauma, you take this ayahuasca, you take all this stuff, and it erases your trauma. I mean, it's like, yeah, so many different cult leaders came out of the 1960s from the drugs, from all the experimental drugs, from all the experiments. And then there is like now you have people with disabilities, you have people with behavior issues, you have people that are psychotic. I mean, yeah, some people like Charles Manson, came out of that. Jones, Heaven's Gate, holy crap, you can look up all the different cult leaders that came, the spiritual gurus, all the people like the Hare Krishnas, all the they're coming from this whole enlightenment type of stuff, and it's because of all the different drugs, and so so anyways, so no, those protocols, the drugs, the herbs, the different chakra, playing with your chakras and all that stuff, no, that's not healing. That's anesthetizing. That's basically killing off your body, mind, and spirit, bit by bit. When you're so focused on chasing tail and getting the ultimate girl with the cutest body, and what are you exactly doing? You're trying to pluck your reproductive system because your body is dying, looking to reproduce, so that way it gets an insurance policy against extinction. I mean, that's what all of these, the dating scene and getting married and families and all of that stuff. And so now you're seeing with the all these different Amy, whatever her name is, getting grilled by the Democrats because she's being elected to potentially, strike out the Affordable Care Act and potentially even Roe v. Wade and all of that. So all the stuff that they needed as an infrastructure to support their experiments on the population back in the 1960s, now really we don't need them anymore. We're now in a depopulation. The experimentation phase is over. And I remember, and even back, it's interesting. It's interesting. I, was raised in a household where Art Deco, the art from the 1920s, the 1930s was just, it was all over my house, and a lot of it was definitely sexually explicit art, but a lot of it was like like Arte. Like I like Art Deco, and then I'm looking at the actors from back then, and they were all like naked, and now I'm not saying naked is not beautiful. Naked is fine. But they were definitely pushing the sexual agenda back in the 1920s and 1930s, as as well as all the different free spiritists and the orgies and whatever else. And yeah, they did stuff to Shirley Temple and the whole MK Ultra and the whole programming, the diamond programming, turned them into Lolitas or turned them into these icons and figures in Hollywood or music, music television. And then you have someone like Madonna, who is so sexually explicit, and then you have someone like Britney, who's gone through her whole stuff, and these girls are trying to emulate people like Miley Cyrus, who went from really cute Disney girl, right, to then this Lolita, who's this crazy sex bomb. And so that's the switch, and that's the programming from the 1930s. And then it's been perfected in the 1960s. And then here you go. You see girls that are like 16 years old, and they look like they're 30 wearing booty shorts. And you wonder why we have so much human trafficking, because these people who are already imbalanced can't tell the difference between a woman and a child anymore, because women are letting their kids go out looking like little adults, showing off everything, leaving nothing to the imagination. People wonder why I wear sweats and why I wear sweats, because those days for me are over. Not that I couldn't flaunt it. Yeah, I could. But that's not the intention I want to invite. That's not my goal. I mean, when you're young and you have imbalances, your goal is to procreate and attract whoever. Now, can you have a higher goal, a higher point of evolution where it's not about death and reproduction? Okay? Can it be about learning something? Can it be about improving what you think you need to improve upon? And can it be about, improving the population, having, peace, harmony, and all that, which sounds very cliche. But I mean, there needs to be a different focus, which right now you're seeing the focus on death and reproduction. Look at the movies, look at Netflix, look at all of your internet stuff. Everything is very dark. And I noticed the movies getting darker the last 10, 15 years. And like Harry Potter, they're getting darker, even the Disney movies are getting darker. Why? Because the population is dying. So the darker a person has become, it's the faster their death progression is. Okay? So yeah, so I don't mind the social distancing. I don't mind anything that I'm doing right now at this point, because the population is kind of crazy. And I would rather right now at this point is to give you guys a different path if you choose to have it. And so J Juice is, it's just cabbage water and salt, and it's fermented and it's very juicy. Follow directions. My recipe is everywhere. Get the book, get the Evolution of the Jilly Juice Protocol book. I did switch from pink salt to white salt because pink salt has too many heavy metals, of which is going to impede your energy source. Okay? And then then there's no diet unless you want to discriminate against foods. But at some point, you don't want to discriminate against foods. Don't be a vegan and vegetarian. Don't be, slamming GMO and all this other stuff, because, your body will be able to filter it out with the J Juice. So that's why there's no organic on J Juice. There's no diet on J Juice. If you are anaphylactic, allergic to whatever, aside from fermented foods, then stay away from that for the time being, and then reintroduce it later when you want to. But if you take an anaphylactic food and you do J Juice, Yeah, you'll have symptoms like you're supposed to, but your body will release the excess so you don't die from too much of the antibodies that'll clog your mucus or anything else. Okay, but if you are really anaphylactic allergic, just don't eat it all until you have gotten to certain points, checkpoints, and you'll reintroduce foods that you're allergic to, very small, very minimal, just to see how your body reacts. But if you are told that, oh God, fermented foods, histamine issues, well, you know what? You got to deal with histamine issues no matter what. J juice is going to bring up every predisposition. So if you have an issue with any symptom aside from anaphylactic allergy to a specific food like nuts or tomatoes, your histamine issues are not going to be any issue unless you think it's an issue. And then if you don't want to feel anything, then don't do the J juice. Go back to the system and take your anesthetizing drugs and die the way they want you to die. You have only two choices, but you're going to have to face your evolution regardless. You're going to have to face your evolution, and you're going to have to face your digestive issues. You're going to have to face your headaches. You're going to have to I had major headaches on J juice too, because yes, your body, your brain is now trying to regenerate. I notice that I am using both sides of my brain now. I can see the big picture and the small picture, and I'm exercising the small picture as well as the big picture. Okay? And I do that just by gravitating towards things that I normally would not gravitate towards. When things that I don't normally want to do or deal with, I'll go and deal with and try to figure it out, and all that. So anyways, and if you're wondering why I'm a little mucusy this morning, because I haven't pooped this morning, but I haven't really needed to. I had food yesterday, but it's like, I don't feel like I need to poop. Now, if I want to go take J juice, I can go clear the pipes. But I figure, what? It's a microbiome in my body that it needs. So when you do have mucus in your nose, it's because you do have something in your colon. Now, if I want to be anal retentive and OCD, I can go take a bunch of J juice and clear the pipes. But right now, I don't feel like I have to poop. I know there's poop in my system because I ate yesterday. But do I need to release the poop as soon as it's created from the night before? No, I don't feel bloated. I don't feel really much of anything. So I'm gonna be okay. I might not poop today, but I'll probably definitely poop tomorrow. But that's the thing with ages is you have so much poop in your system that yes, when people get colds and flus and all these different mucus stuff, it's yes, you have excess antibodies in your body, excess stuff, and you need to release it. And then the mistake of the population is they take, mucus drying agents, they take Theraflu and NyQuil, and they try to anesthetize the symptoms, and then it keeps the antibodies in their body. And so they never ever get rid of these things, and that these antibodies stay in their colon and in their digestive system, punches holes, and that's where the whole leaky gut comes from. And so if you Wikipedia me, they're saying, oh yeah, leaky gut has never been substantiated. Bullshit. Wikipedia is stupid as hell, because you go to PubMed and leaky gut has been a catalyst to autoimmunity. I like Wikipedia on some things, but other times Wikipedia is like definitely part of the holistic allopathic world. Definitely. Their fear against white salts because people don't want to feel their evolution. So when someone has high blood pressure, it's because they're not drinking enough water. Oh, they're like, oh yeah, don't take any salt because of high blood pressure. Well, instead of not taking salt, which is a life force, drink more fucking water. Oh, but that's too logical, right? That's too logical to drink more water when you have high blood pressure. Why do you have high blood pressure? Because your antidiuretic hormone is now kicking into gear because you're not drinking enough water, and you have constricted blood vessels, and so that antidiuretic hormone is then going to bring up all the water retention, so you're going to be all like, swollen, and that's why people are swollen. I lost so much water weight when I did the J juice. I was so bloated. You could probably see some before and after pictures on my Facebook wall. I was bloated as hell. You know why? Because I wasn't drinking enough water. I had constricted blood vessels. And yeah, I was eating food. Food had salt in it. And so I was blowing up. And so I didn't have any high blood pressure. But if you have high blood pressure, it's because you have constricted blood vessels and you're not drinking enough water. And yeah, and those predispositions of constricted blood vessels cause then people to have high blood pressure because they don't have enough water. They're not drinking enough water in their system. So even if you're not doing J juice and you're outside of J juice and you are, you have high blood pressure, people have said that they have lowered their high blood pressure by drinking a lot of water. Now, not everybody can do that because at some point you still have so many predispositions that even drinking enough water is not going to stop your issues with your cardiovascular system and your circulatory system. But for the most part, water can lower your blood pressure. But if water doesn't lower your blood pressure outside of J juice, then you have deeper issues that even just water can't handle, or changing your diet, or whatever is being offered in the holistic world or in the nutrition world, right? So yeah, so J juice has the ability to reverse all issues, but eventually, it's not gonna be right away. So if you're looking for a quick cure, a quick fix, a quick this, the J juice is not gonna be for you. It will not be for you. It will not be for any of your situation, because you will be completely surprised by the fact that you're gonna have to deal with your evolution. Okay, and it's a kind of like a morphine in real time, morphing back to what you were originally intended before modern medicine messed you up with all the antibodies, with all the different protocols that they've thrown at you in utero as well as postpartum, and then during your lifespan. And some of you are really messed up, really messed up. And so if you're just looking to get rid of a digestive issue, you may not be prepared for J juice. You may not be prepared for J juice. So your friend that recommended you to Jilly Juice because of your digestive issue, well, you're gonna have to deal with a lot more, and your life has to be set up for it. Okay, when you're doing the waterfalls, yeah, when you drink the J juice, you're gonna do waterfalls. Doesn't mean that you're just gonna shit just spontaneously, out of nowhere. No, usually there's a certain amount of time. There's like, what is the inverse square law, the proximity, okay, the time and proximity, right? When if you want to test out and see how many times you can do waterfalls after you drink J juice, whether it's 2 cups or a quart or a half a gallon in a very short amount of time, not like stringing it out across a couple hours, but a short amount of time, you might be waterfalling for like 3 hours. It might be 4 hours. It depends on what's going on in your body. I've done, in the beginning when I did J juice, I did like 2 to 6 cups a day. I did 2 cups, before each meal. And I didn't eat 3 times a day, like maybe twice a day. So I do about 4 cups a day. But I wasn't drinking a lot, so I was getting constipated. Okay? So I'm like, why am I getting constipated? And then people in my group way back when I had that 60,000 person group, they're talking about waterfalls. I'm like, what the hell? And so someone mentioned waterfalls. Like, is that was their way of explaining what was going on when they drank the J juice on their system? Because I had a lot of poop in my system, a lot. So I was getting constipated. So I was always feeling bloated and feeling like, and trying to pick the poop out and all that stuff, because I didn't think about drinking more J juice to release the excess, right? It was then when people in my group were giving me feedback on their experiences, and someone mentioned something like waterfalls, and they were drinking J juice, and they were drinking a lot. And so then, I realized that when you drink a lot and then making it more juicy, not so thick, that you're going to, and it's usually early in the morning, not like, late at night, not after every meal. It's early in the morning or when you wake up, when you drink the J juice, to get the best waterfalls. It's very hard to get waterfalls in the middle of the day after you've eaten a meal or so. It's very hard to get waterfalls at night. Not to say it couldn't happen, but then if you don't know how long you're going to be waterfalling, you don't want to shit in your bed. You don't want to shit in your sleep. Okay, so you have to, on a weekend when you have at least 3 days or 2 days, that you can devote to just you, not be on call for somebody, because you don't want to be caught somewhere shitting in the car. Okay, so you take 2 cups, you take 4 cups, and you drink at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then you see what happens. You might not get waterfalls right away, because you have so much going on that the body is absorbing that nutrition. The waterfalls is when the body's releasing the excess, so it's really cleaning you out. Okay, and so what happens is when you're not getting waterfalls, the body is now getting to repair itself, and yes, it's gonna clean out the portions that it's reaching, and then if you don't have enough energy in your what you're drinking, the poop plug that has all your poop, all that stuff that's being released in the excess that was affected by the Jilly juice is now like just kind of on top of each other, just collecting. So you have to drink a lot of water, of course, and J juice, but a lot of water to then really flush out your colon, flush out your intestines, to release all of that. And it's going to be gross. Oh, I'm telling you, it's going to be gross, different colors. You may see parasites, you may see excess, fungus, spongy orange stuff, spongy yellow stuff. You may see liver flukes, you may see a whole lot, okay? And the parasites and things like that are not really bad. Parasites are just part of your microbiome. And it's in my book, where I actually talk about, that your microbiome, which is your body, mind, and spirit, And I do compartmentalize your microbiome, which is viruses, parasites, protozoa, proteins, fungus, and bacteria. And the parasites that are in your body are actually a good mediator to help compost your shit because you're not releasing and absorbing the way you should. You're not processing and breaking down the food that you're eating the way you should. So guess what? Not only does the lactobacillus, the bacteria, are breaking down your food, but also the parasites as a helper. Okay, just like we put worms in the garden, they compost your garden. That's what the parasites, the worms in your body are doing. The tapeworms, all the different worms that you have in your body because you have an imbalance and you're not processing your food correctly, they are actually helping you mediate and stay alive. You would not be alive if it wasn't for parasites. So never ever try to kill the parasites. You want to balance your body and say, hey, now your body can handle without all the help. It's like taking on mercenaries. It's like taking on extra help to your house until you can, do it on your own. And then once you can do it on your own, you're like, okay, thanks workers for working on my house. I can take it from here. So that's what the chili juice does. It helps mediate and get rid of the extra helpers that were keeping you alive up to this point. If it wasn't for the parasites, you wouldn't be alive because your body would be able to process and have the broken down food so your cells can regenerate even on a very small stagnated basis that you're dealing with. Okay? So don't ever demonize parasites ever. Don't ever take the turpentine, don't ever take anything anti-parasitic, antimicrobial, antifungal, bacterial, anti-inflammatory. That's all anti-life. That will shorten your lifespan. That is why you have an expiration date on your body, mind, and spirit. That is why people are only living to maybe, if they're freaking lucky, 80 or 90 years old, if they're lucky. Someone like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who has access to all the different modern medicines, where she's probably kept alive by machines and chemical infusions, but eventually her heart gave out because she's not regenerating. Eventually, brain dead. She was like the walking corpse. That's basically what our society is like. Is basically you're like the walking dead. When you have 50% of your body dead and not your vital organs, yeah, that's the walking dead. And so now we are bringing to life that which you have put to sleep for years. And it's not easy. It's not fun. You have to face your demons. And the reason why I took this so well, why I was able to even see this point, to be like, well, who in the right mind would just deal with pain that way? Well, I knew that the detox symptoms, the Herxheimer syndrome, when people are doing the detoxes, well, that's what people experienced that were okay, but they were actually killing themselves and the body was trying to evolve. So that's what, had me understand that pain is healing on some level, right? I'm not saying that Herxheimer and the detox symptoms from the detoxes were actually helping you, but it was a mechanism that I understood that sometimes it's necessary, right? But then I took it even further and realized that, yeah, I mean, I never took major amounts of drugs. I never was a drug addict. I never was an alcoholic. I never played with my hormones. I never went on these sabbaticals where you're taking ayahuasca or peyote. I never did any of that stuff. Yeah, I smoked some pot when I was younger. Maybe I did like acid once when I was a teenager, and maybe in my 20s when I was a nanny. Not when I was with the kid, but on my time off, I think I did acid once. But it was like, but that was it. It was in the 90s. So acid twice my whole life, right? So I never got into the whole anesthetizing. I was so poor when I left my parents' house a long time ago. I think I had health insurance for about 5 or 6 months when I was in school. And I was paying like $300 a month for health insurance with Kaiser in San Francisco. That's insane. And that's when I was exploring how to deal with my PMDD, because that's when it became really bad, when I was in a relationship with somebody in San Francisco. And so I went to Kaiser and said, hey, Kaiser, I got major PMDD. What do I do? Well, when I talked to the nurse practitioner, she's like, hey, yeah, here, take some Prozac. And then we'll schedule you for a counseling session every like 2 weeks or something to see how it's taking. And I think I took Prozac for about a month. I felt like a freaking zombie. So I said, you know what? No, I'll just deal with my PMD. I'll deal with the fluctuations. I'll live 2 weeks out of the month and then just disintegrate 2 weeks, out of the month. So half the month, for many, many years, I was disintegrating. The other half, I felt alive. And then I figured out, okay, well, I can't survive in the corporate world. I really can't hold a job that's of any kind of worth when I'm going from one end of the spectrum to the other. So that's when I started doing my own freelance stuff. I learned the insurance industry and was just a cold caller and helped build up other people's agencies. So that way I can kind of work at my own, leisure, which I didn't have a lot of leeway because even the agents that I worked for wanted me to work, 40 hours a week, 5 days a week. But hey, when I have a PMS episode or a symptom, usually Mondays were the hardest for me after I've been sleeping on and off from one end of the spectrum to the other, bloated and irritable and sleeping too much or sleeping too little and not being on the schedule that I was and feeling like I just was run over by a truck and feel like and so it's just like even then that was difficult. Okay. And so it's just like that was my misery because I didn't want to go and because I was too poor. And then when I stopped paying that $300 a month insurance, and I was like, you know what, fuck it, I don't care. And so I just said, hey, I'll just live the way my biochemistry has forced me to live. Where yeah, I'm flying high for 2 weeks and getting so much stuff done and accomplishing things and being amazing. And then 2 weeks, people are like, what the hell? I would miss birthday parties, miss outings, miss family stuff, call in sick, whatever. And it was so depressing living that way. And that does depress a person. But I didn't want to face the drugs. Okay? But I was willing to face the pain, during those 2 weeks. I'd sit in front of my TV and eat a bunch of food. Eat like a pound of spaghetti, a pound of top ramen if I was that poor, and just be wallowing in my misery. So I was always facing pain every freaking month. Every month I was facing pain. The pain of constipation, the pain of the fact that I'm not stable. And then yeah, my emotions were all over the place and I mean I was a mess. I was a freaking mess. I would have been the poster child of someone that needed to have some kind of major, drug I don't know, drug whatever therapy, but the way I felt on Prozac was not the way I wanted to feel my whole life. I felt dead on Prozac, and that's the intention. Prozac is supposed to make you not feel anything to where you're just kind of a robot. Okay? And that was not going to be me. So I was like, okay, I need to just do something different. So, and so that's when I found the Jilly Juice was when somebody recommended fermented pickles to me, and they were salt pickles. And I was already exploring the probiotic world, and I was drinking a bunch of kombucha, of which that kombucha did disintegrate the top part of my tooth because I was drinking so much of the kombucha. But that the acids in the sugar and the lactic acid did a number on that one tooth, and that actually made my PMS even worse. And so then when I've heard when someone recommended, somebody just totally, completely not even involved with this healing stuff, recommended salt pickles because he was just making it in his home, and I'm all about doing home, doing organic stuff, right? And so then at that time, I think I was taking a bunch of supplements at the time, and I was discovering the fermented pickles. But then fermented pickles, am I going to eat like 10 pickles a day? No. Okay, am I going to drink the juice of the pickles? No. And so that's when I explored all the different fermented foods, of which I found a website that offered the different fermented cabbage. Because I did chew carrots too for a minute, but the fermented cabbage was the easiest. And I tried to, reference that website, and oh my God, that website owner, during the time that I was getting attacked in like 2017, 2018, they were getting horrible, horrible messages like, oh my God, you know that Jilly Juice is taking your recipe and subverting it and making it more salty. And people were like freaking out over the salt, like freaking the hell out over salt. It was just so, oh my God. I felt bad for that website owner to where she had to put a disclaimer on the site saying, okay, I am not affiliated with Jilly Juice. I do not recommend the more salt that she's recommending, and I don't recommend giving this to kids. I'm like, oh my God. So anyways, but yeah, so I did change the recipe from like 1.5 teaspoons of salt to then 1 tablespoon. And that 1 tablespoon is what made the difference in the healing process. And yes, the pain process. And then it really accelerated. And then from the pink salt, which had all the minerals in it, the heavy metals of which people are trying to detox from all the time, then I changed that to the white salt. And that actually happened during this COVID, when I thought that we were not going to get the imports because of the interruptions and all the different stuff. And then I realized that white salt is the most energetic mineral ever. And even though it's not organic like the organic people, do, we don't live in an organic world. We live in an intentional world. Someone is intentionally giving you antibodies and intentionally binding different viral proteins together and making you adapt to it. And some of you cannot adapt. Some of you are having issues. And so that's an intention that you have to fight with intention. So Jilly Juice is an intentional protocol. It's not organic because you can't grow jars on trees. You have to actually have a certain temperature, and you have to have a certain expectation and outcome with Jilly Juice. And so the white salt, yes, it's going to be bleached. It's not bad for you. The caking agent, anti-caking agent, the ferrocyanide is not going to hurt you. It's just minerals, but you've been had the fear of everything, of minerals, and the fear of your environment instilled in you by the holistic allopathic world that wants to compartmentalize and scare you from things so that way they can sell you all their bullshit, right? No, the Jilly Juice has the white salt, and it's white Morton's table salt or whatever table salt that you have, canning salt, table salt, white salt, but not sea salt, not black salt, not pink salt, not red salt, not purple salt, not bath salt, white fucking salt, because that is the most extreme sourceful energy. It's this salt is energy. Sodium chloride is energy. Okay? And the reason why there's anti-caking agent so it doesn't cake up. Hey Gail, hey everybody. Okay? So that's why I changed from the pink salt to the pink salt, because you're going to plateau on the pink salt. There's so much minerals. You're going to plateau. And people have plateaued on my J Juice, and they're wondering why. Well, have you changed your freaking salt? Have you upped your dosage of J Juice? Oh, no, I'm too afraid to change from the pink salt to the white salt. Well, no wonder you're not getting the healing and you're not where you should be at this point in time. You've been on the J Juice for what, the last 4 years, and you're only this far? Well, I know you have predispositions, but maybe you can expedite the healing process. You have the time. You're retired. What else are you doing? Aside from pounding on Facebook, talking smack about people and places and things. Okay? So, yeah, so change from the pink salt to the white salt. Wow, I saw another level of evolution. Another level of evolution on the white salt. Of which then I wrote a book called The Evolution of the Jilly Juice Protocol. And now I'm writing another book that's going to give you the big picture of everything. And then that will give you more reasoning to choose whether or not you want to go with the programming and the experiments that were perpetrated upon you, or you want to change your biochemistry and be the best copy ever and actually be aligned in your body, mind, and spirit. When you say you want to live because you're taking all these remedies and doing all these detoxes and doing your cannabis and your chemotherapy, but you still die anyways, or you say you want to live and you actually bring in the protocols of life into your body, and then finally be aligned in body, mind, and spirit, and be peaceful, productive, not angry and depressed and just mean at the world, where you are balanced and you have boundaries, and you're not crossing boundaries, and you're giving boundaries, and you're speaking up for yourself, speaking up for your kids, speaking up for your dog, and you're not allowing anyone to cannibalize your body, mind, and spirit. That's the point of J Juice, is you actually are giving life to your body and you're protecting yourself, but not overprotective where you put up so many walls where nothing can get in, but not enough protection to where you let everybody in. You have the right balance in your biochemistry, in your microbiome, and in your environment. The government will make sure your environment's relatively balanced. Now it's up to you to make sure that your microbiome inside is balanced, as well as your immediate environment. So the government does have a place, and you have a way to counter any intentions out there. So if they say, hey, we're going to have a mass force vaccination, which they're saying that's not going to happen, but let's just say there is mass vaccinations, or there's contingencies, like you have to go to work or be able to go to different places and you have to show that you've been vaccinated. You'll be able to do that, and you'll counter any excess antibodies that could potentially hurt you. Because that's really what your digestive lymphatic system does. It takes anything that's excess in your microbiome, or minerals, or antibodies, and releases the excess so they don't work against you. The government isn't giving you a lethal injection. You're not being strapped to a board and then giving potassium cyanide or potassium chloride into your body. No, it's just antibodies. They're giving you a snapshot of the microbiome, but some people it's going to be a very heavy snapshot of the microbiome because their body is not up to par to handle the new environment. Okay? So, just understand that J Juice is not easy. It is not. It is a long haul, but you want to live, right? You're going to have to deal with everything that you've been running away from. If you want to run away from all your problems, then yeah, death is not a horrible thing for some people, because that way they have no problems. When you die, you have no problems. But that's not the point of J Juice, it's to die. That's not your point, is to die, right? So you're going to have to deal with your problems. Face up to them, whatever it is, whatever trauma you had back then. If you had a rape, you had, war trauma, you had, who knows what, abuse, to drug addictions, to hell, I don't know, whatever injuries you sustained. And yeah, if you're missing an arm, yeah, if you stay on it long enough and you deal with everything, I would love someone to say that they regrew their arm. But it's not going to happen in 4 years. It's not even happening in 5. It may happen in 10, 15 years. I don't know how long it would take for someone on the J Juice. And if they devoted all their time to J Juice and they were they were independently wealthy, or they got a check from the government every single month, they were able to do J Juice every single day and deal with every single predisposition. Could someone actually regrow an arm in a really fast time? But potentially, but I don't know anyone that's done that or is willing to do that, or it has that situation to where they can do that, or wants to. Okay, so I won't have any proof of someone regrowing an arm, because I would have to have somebody be willing to have that perfect scenario for them to regrow an arm on J Juice and deal with the pain. But yeah, the possibility is there. Of course, it's there. Regrowing cells. If you can regrow cells at a superficial level, like I said on Dr. Phil, when you cut your finger, when you cut your skin, guess what? Your skin regrows. Well, right there is proof that cells can regrow. Obviously, you heal from an operation. It's not like when they open your heart, it's not like you now have to walk around with an open heart every single day. No, that's stupid. Your heart, your skin heals over. That's cell regeneration right there in the most obvious form. Now take that to another level, to then organ regeneration, limb regeneration. Okay? So, the macro to the micro. The macro and the micro are basically reflections of each other, and the only difference is, the size and the influence. But the system wants you to think everything's compartmentalized, because they don't want you to see the connections between everything, between politics, religion, and science, between the micro and the macro, between one little cell to your whole body. They think that, oh yeah, this is just a hand, but you realize your hand is full of trillions of little cells, and the microbiome, parasites, and your hand is full of viruses, parasites, protozoa, protein, fungus, and bacteria. And then your hand is connected to your wrist, and your wrist is connected to your forearm, and your forearm is connected to your elbow, and the elbow is connected to your shoulder. Okay, everything is connected. It's not just like your hand has a microbiome but nothing else is affected. Bullshit. Everything is connected. But you're never told everything's connected, because that's how they make money and compartmentalize in your body, mind, and spirit. Oh yeah, do your chakras and play with your hormones with the spiritual world, right? And ghosts and angels, right? And then the body. Oh yeah, it's all about the body. Taking implants and doing this and tweaking here and tweaking there, and then the mind. Let's mess with your mind. Let's do the psychological operations. Let's do the brainwashing. That's the education worlds, where they compartmentalize the mind. And so they have you all separated, your body, mind, and spirit, all in separate places, and no one sees the connection between all of them. Yeah, your gut is definitely related to how you think. Your biochemistry is directly related to your belief system. Oh, but you can't tell that to someone who's so much knowledge in the herbal world, in the psychedelics. I'm telling you, you're going to have to let go of everything you thought you knew if you're good on J Juice. Because everything that I'm doing is completely antithesis of what the system is doing. Because the system wants an expiration date on you. Because you don't want to feel pain, and they don't want the lawsuits. That's why I don't do private messages when it comes to advising people, because I'm not your doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a licensed anything. I just drink J Juice. I just live. Jilly Juice is just food. It's just food. That's it. And you got to feel your pain. If you don't want to feel your pain, then go see a doctor. But I'm not here to diagnose anybody. I'm not here to guide anybody. I'm not here to help anyone through anything. You ultimately have to be the one to do it. You are your own savior. There is nobody else out there. Jesus is not going to be your savior. Neither is Moses. Neither is Jillian. Neither is Trump. Neither is Fossey. Neither is your doctor or your holistic practitioner. No one can save you but you. Your ability to comprehend new information, your ability to handle the pain and evolution process is what's going to be the difference between you living or you dying. That's it. No one else can do it for you. But people want to go and project because they don't want to take responsibility for their body, mind, and spirit. So it's easier to blame somebody because they couldn't do it themselves. Oh, Jillian caused this, Trump caused this, Biden caused this, Dr. Fauci caused this. Yeah, they deal with antibodies, but you deal with the life protocol, Jilly Juice. So they deal with death, you deal with life. Let's see how you can balance the two out and then you still live despite what they're doing. That's the whole point of J Juice, is balance everything, counter anything that is in the antithesis of what your intentions are. Somebody may have intentions against you, you counter it, you block it, you boundary it, and then that's it. You move on. There's nothing else to be said. Okay? But that takes a while for you to get to that point. It's going to be for you to even get to just understanding where I'm coming from. You got to just read the book. Read the book. Listen to my transmissions on my Jilly Juice LLC, which is my business site. There's a pinned post. But here's the thing. Get the book, send me the receipt, whether it's private message or email. Go into, and I'll add you into my group if you're a friend on my Facebook. But you can't ask any questions. The reason why is because you have to actually read the book and resolve within yourself, are you fearful or not? Because Jilly Juice is just food. J Juice is just food. Because there is no amount. No, when someone asks questions, if they're not doing J Juice and they're just starting and they have all these questions and concerns, you're asking us to sell you into doing J Juice. You're asking us to convince you to do J Juice. And J Juice is not something you sell. It's not something you force down someone's throat. It's not something you recommend if you don't really understand what it's doing. Now you can recommend it, but the person is going to have to still figure out if they can do it. But yeah, you can recommend it, but people are gonna say, well, why? And here's the thing: for you to recommend J Juice, you should have some kind of testimony on it. Just you don't have to be really good with your words like I am at this point with it. But you could say, hey, yeah, I reversed this issue, I reversed that issue. Not saying that well, you can say whatever you want. But what I'm saying is that if you're in my group, you're gonna have to be the one to make that choice to do it or not do it. Okay, I have everything laid out. I have the type of salt, which is any kind of table salt. I have water is all tap water, and the cabbage does not have to be organic. Be any conventional cabbage, it doesn't matter. So that's really, it's not going to be the recipe is really easy, and there's no diet. Take your prescription drugs, do what you got to do, okay, and then you just do it. And as far as what your ferments look like, you can post pictures in there. But do not ask anyone about symptoms or how if they reverse this. You can say, hey, I have these issues. Have any of you experienced these issues, and what was your experience on J Juice type of thing? But you're not asking anyone for a guarantee. You're not asking anyone if it's going to reverse this, this, and this. You're not going to bitch about your symptoms and say, oh my God, J Juice did this to me. No, because J Juice is going to make your situation a bit more aggressive because you got to face it. Or you go and take a pill and immunize yourself and then die systematically with the system. You have two choices. So you can't be upset that you're feeling symptoms in my group. It can't be any issue that you're feeling symptoms in my group. If you do feel symptoms and you're pissed off about it, then get the fuck out of my group. Excuse my language, sorry. But I mean, that's the thing, is anyone that goes to my group and bitches about their symptoms when they're on the J Juice doesn't get it, and I get rid of them very quickly. They're not part of my world. They shouldn't be. So when you're in my group, you understand that you have to deal with symptoms. You got to do J Juice. You still follow your doctor's orders if it's, important to you. And you do what you got to do, but you understand that J Juice is a healing process. Will your digestive issue go away right off the bat? I can't tell you that. Nobody can tell, not even your doctor. If you want to know 100% that you don't have any digestive issues, then take out your digestive system and kill it off, and then there you go, you're dead. No. So nobody can tell you when your issues are going to be reversed. So now you go into it being like, okay, I just got to deal with my evolution. And if my digestive issue or whatever issue that I have, or the parasites I think I have extra, when they come out, I'll see it and you won't freak out. But remember, doing the J Juice gets rid of the excess. And it gives your body back what it didn't have before, causing you to have an imbalance in your microbiome, which is excess parasites, even excess fungus. Okay, but you don't want to take antifungals. You don't want to kill off anything in your body. But you want to balance it out with the J Juice, with a diverse diet. Don't be discriminatory in your diet unless you're anaphylactic. But don't be like, oh, I'm not going to eat meat. I'm not going to eat milk. I'm not going to do this. I mean, at some point, we live in a society right now at this point that you can afford to be like political about your food. But that's not the Jilly Juice way. We don't have any politics against, food in my group. There are nobody spouts about their vegan and vegetarian in my group. No one speaks about how, oh my God, it's horrible to animals. Because I'm telling you, your house displaced a bunch of animals. When you walk when you walk down the street or you till your garden, you're killing the worms and you're displacing animals that have already established their residence before you got your garden. Okay? So I don't want to hear anyone spouting they're vegan and vegetarian and against their animals or against people killing animals, because it's freaking hypocrisy, and there's no hypocrisy in my group. Okay? There is, when you eat a piece of meat that has an advanced form of data that your body needs, you cannot possibly get the kind of data that's already in an animal meat that you would get out there that's compartmentalized. So you get a data pack that has already been synthesized for you with proteins and cells and microbiome. Or you go and try to compartmentalize all of that and think that all of that's going to help, it's going to be just as good as that little meat data pack. No. Vegans and vegetarians are dying too. And even on the J juice, when you have an aggressive environment, when you have viruses that have been crossbred with different animal viral proteins and plant viral proteins and human viral proteins, you have to have the microbiome to be able to handle and adapt to those viral proteins in your environment. You're around animals, you better have, the very similar diet that's able to adapt to the animals and the viral proteins in your environment. Okay? So if you don't want to eat animal viral proteins, then take an injection and get the viral proteins that way. But so there is no one that is going to be spouting their politics in my group. There's no politics in my group, okay, unless I bring it up, because I'll know how to pose it and start off the conversation. Some people will post some stuff in there and whatever videos that I really want you to give a lead into the videos, but no videos really. Just if you're new in my group, you get the book and you're new in my group, just don't post anything. Just observe, because you don't have enough experience to be posting anything, to be asking any questions or anything. No, you need to read the book, watch the videos in the pin post in the group, because there's a bunch of videos, not a lot, but a few that talk about the salt, talk about the diet, talk about whatever, and the different people that are on Jilly Juice. And just observe. Drink the juice, post your, if you now here's the thing. There are trolls out there, and there are trolls in my group. They are going to screenshot if they think that you're one of those that are like, all like scared. Because let me tell you, predators smell fear. Predators smell fear. And if you come off scared, if you come off like, oh, this is my first time and my kid, I'm going to give it to my kid. And you have just raised the antenna of the trolls that will be relentless in your inbox. And if they find out where you live, they'll be relentless. I'm telling you. So if you don't want people messing with you, be discreet in what you do. If you want to post just very if you want to post just benign stuff, like the drink, you don't offer too much about your situation unless you want to. But whatever you put on Facebook, you're subject for somebody to judge you and make assumptions. So don't give anyone a reason to make assumptions on what you're doing, what you're saying, and what you're feeling. Okay? And I'll tell you again, predators smell fear. As soon as you come off fearful of J Juice, come off fearful of the process, come off fearful of anything, it's done. And I can smell fear from a mile away, and I don't like fear. I can smell fear and I eradicate it. When someone comes and tells me, oh my God, they're afraid of the vaccination, and I'm like, the reason why you're afraid of vaccination is because you're not on J Juice. Get on freaking J Juice and counter the antibodies. You'll be fine. Because they're afraid that they're going to lose their soul or lose whatever because their predecessors lost their soul from things. And I'm like, from 1913 or 1930, when the Spanish flu and all that. I'm like, back then they didn't have J Juice. So of course they lost their soul. So maybe now it's different. The difference now is you have J Juice to be able to counter this excess antibodies and repair the damage. No fear. Anyone in my group should not be fearful. If you are fearful of J Juice and you're so unsure, then read the freaking book, understand it, watch my videos, and if you're still fearful, don't do it. The only investment you had was the $15 or $20 that you got the book. Okay? So, yeah, and what did Emily say? The symptoms are scary at times. I've had to talk to myself out of the allopathic holistic program thinking several times to get on the other side. I've upped my intake and I'm seeing a bit more now. Mostly just keep my mouth shut. Yeah, I mean it's not. I'm telling you, I've had pounding headaches. Okay, I've had weird things that happen to me that I'm like, oh my god, it's weird, but it's the body trying to evolve. And so as long as you know that, and I've known this for a while, as long as you know that, then you'll just deal with it. But yeah, some of you have vital organ issues, liver issues, heart issues, and you might see, different, stroke issues. You might see symptoms of things that you're like, holy crap. And hey, yeah, you'll deal with it. You'll drink the J juice, and if you feel you need to go to the doctor, go to the doctor. But you already have those predispositions. It's not like J juice gave you anything. J juice doesn't give anybody any kind of issues. It's the fact that your body is healing, and finally you're able to face it. And so, um, you're gonna have to deal with it. And and people have had different things happen to them during the process, and they went to their doctor, they got the test done, and there was no enzymes, there was no things that would say they had anything like that. It's just the body recalibrating. It's an event. Right now the whole COVID event is then the kick in of the new society that we're going into. You either adapt to it or you resist it and you die as in the resistance. There's only two choices. You adapt to your new environment or you die in the process. So, just do J juice or not. Understand, watch the videos in my group. If you get the book, read the freaking book, and no fear. Make sure you're not doing pink salt. Make sure you're not playing the organic crappy game. Make sure that you just now release everything that you ever was taught. It's gonna take a minute, and realize that now it's become quite easy. The hardest part is just dealing with yourself. The protocol is easy. The protocol is nothing. The hard process is for you to actually heal and face your evolution. That's the hardest part, is you dealing with yourself. All right. Nice to see you guys. Nice to see you, Tiffany, Gail, Emily, and everyone else. All right. You guys have a good one. I appreciate the time. All right. Bye.